All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Renew Show. We're just being silly, talking about chapstick and study things here. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. As you can see tonight, Lori is still unable to be with us because her work schedule, and Rose had something come up at the last minute, like 45 minutes ago, that came up that she had to take care of, and she's not going to be able to be with us. So I have my beautiful wife, Sherry Ann, who is filling in, and also Brooke LaGrasso, crazy running mom. So thank you both for coming on, and just if you guys just want to say hi and anything else. Let's start with Brooke.
Hey everybody, I'm really excited to be a guest back on the show. I like being a guest here. I like being a guest anywhere. I can just be the guest person for weight loss community related programming. I enjoy it.
Hey everybody, I'm glad to be back as well. This is always a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to our conversation tonight.
All right, thank you. And as you can see, we're going to be talking about excuses and mental games, and mainly it was thinking about the things that we do. I know sometimes we may see other people do things, so bring them up as well. But as we're talking, please bring up your questions, your comments, anything that you do or that you'll say to yourself, or things that you'll catch yourself thinking. Put them in the comment section. All right, I guess I'll start. The one thing that I noticed that I do, and I think this is a mental thing, not just like an excuse, I've made those too, but is that when I'm tracking my food, whether it be by taking pictures, putting it on Instagram, or anything like that, or MyFitnessPal, if I take something and forget to log it, I used to actually, I wouldn't say I believe this, but I used to almost feel like if I didn't log it, like it didn't happen. Like I could eat some nuts and not weigh them, so I'm like, oh, all right, I don't even know how much I had, so I'm not even going to put them in. And then later on, at the end of the day, I'm looking and saying, oh, I have 400 calories left that I can eat. No, I don't. I probably have like 500 calories in nuts that I didn't track. But because it's not in MyFitnessPal, I still have 400 calories left to eat, because that's what's going to show up on the thing. And I've found myself doing that a few times, and I don't know where that comes from.
I do the same thing with the oil in my cooking. I'm like, I just take the bottle and just get a nice good coating, and half it sticks to the pan anyway. I mean, that's like a teaspoon.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
I try to measure in my head like I'm a good judge of how much of anything I'm having. It's the worst. That's so awful. And let's not talk about tracking, because Kylie gets on me every day. I just hate it so much. So I'm just like, I'm pretty sure I'm okay today. No need to put it in and do anything.
Tracking is hard. It's really hard. I mean, I can't, how many times I walk by the cupboard. I did it just the other day, and like I can't say it right, Ben always makes fun of me. I say Cransons. I know that's not how you say it. Cransons. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Craisins.
The craisins?
Oh, yeah. I say craisins, yeah.
Cransons. Well, we had some of those in the cabinet, and I go by, and I'm like, oh, there's just a little bit, and then, you walk by it again, and just a little bit. Walking by the cabinet, I'm the worst. I've gotten better about bringing food in the house that I know that I'm going to do that to, but I just make an excuse, like, oh, it's just a little bit. It's Cransons. How bad could it be?
Yeah. I think that it really impacts when I do decide to track, and I'll weigh out the almonds, and I'll say, wow, that's one serving already. Like, I know I've grabbed more than that in my hand at times when I'm washing dishes, and I'll take a 2-minute almond break, and I know I've eaten more when I weighed up the serving, and they're healthy. And that's something else I think that we do, is that if something is deemed healthy, then we think, oh, we can eat a lot of it. It's healthy. It's good for you. It's natural. Or whatever we're following, like if we're following paleo. It's paleo-friendly. I can have as much as I want. No, that's a bunch of calories too. It may be more natural and have less altered and processed, but it's still calories.
So you mean the pure cane sugar with some raw cocoa is not okay to have just like tons of that? No? Okay.
The desserts are the worst. Because, we'll do that. We're like,
oh, like when I'm sorry.
Oh, wow. You're just in darkness. Well, yeah, the desserts are the worst because of that. Because they can, sometimes the desserts, and you see the ingredients they put in, you say, this is like double the amount of calories of having like a king-size Snickers bar.
Right.
Or a piece of pie or a piece of anything. You can get like a Hershey's pie from Burger King, and it will probably be less calories than something else. Although calories aren't the only way to track something, but just talking about losing weight and gaining weight, that's very important, and we just ignore it, because we play those games sometimes.
Okay, you know what game I play with myself? Like, let's say I want some pizza or something, right? And I don't get it, and I eat something else at home. To me, that's like justification that what I'm eating now is better than what I would be eating had I not done it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I've done that. At least I'm home making a burger and fries instead of eating at Wendy's or something like that.
Might as well have 2 of my own burgers because it's going to be so much better than even one fast food burger.
See? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like for overall health, we know those things are better, but it's not like because they're the healthier option, that means that we can just go to town and it won't affect us negatively at all. But sometimes we forget that.
I don't necessarily forget it. I choose to forget it.
Yeah.
I choose to have like amnesia.
One, I know that, and I know, Brooke, we talked about this so many times, probably how we first got close, is that, one excuse that I will make a lot, or I used to a lot, especially when I did these ridiculous workouts, and then after an hour and a half of that, I would go run for another hour, would be, I burned so many calories right now, I could eat whatever I want. That would be the biggest thing for me, is I would put it, and I would find the most generous estimate of how many calories I burned, and use that and say, wow, I burned 2,500 calories on top of what I would normally burn. So I can go and have pizza, then I can eat ice cream, and I can do that. I need to fuel my body, right?
Oh, I've done that. I mean, how can somebody run 3 marathons and have not lost any weight? I can do it for that reason alone. I would have a run, and then I would come home, and it would be throw down, like, all right, this is my woo, and I would just eat and eat and eat, and then usually the next day I'd have like a kind of a hangover from all that food, a food hangover. So, what's the best thing to do when you have a hangover is just like eat more food. I want to kind of like buffer it out. So, Tuesday rolls around and I'm feeling pretty much back to normal, and then just repeat the next weekend. And that's how you can run that much and stay the weight that you are. If you want, I should write a book, on maintenance, because I'm like a professional.
Oh man, I remember this one time Khalif and I worked out at the gym, and it was a really good workout. And we drove straight from the gym to Hula Hands and had like lunch. It was so, like, we really earned it or something, Like, no.
Were you still in your workout clothes? Please tell me you were still in your workout clothes.
Yeah, we really went straight from the gym in our workout clothes to the restaurant. Absolutely.
That's great.
Like, what were we thinking, I don't know.
Susan had a good one relating to tracking. She said, what about when you have something homemade and when you look it up, you always take the lowest choice that's there? Now, I know that I've done that a lot of times. I'll look and, there are 10 options for whatever, and I'll just say, oh, this one looks good, and it's just like, I can't have that many calories, so let me see if there's one that's 350 calories. No, it's probably wrong. Or it's probably a smaller serving of whatever I made myself.
Maybe there's people on MyFitnessPal that on purpose enter lower calorie food items so people can say, oh yeah, $10, 10 calories for a cup of grapes. Yeah, that's it. That's good.
Yeah.
Just go around and just
I hope not.
justify people's fears.
Yeah, that's why I try to weigh everything now. Like even when I put avocado in my smoothies, I spoon out the avocado and I put the cup on the scale rather than saying one avocado is X amount of calories, which is what MyFitnessPal would do. I actually weigh it now, but I didn't before because I like that low number. And it's actually what I've seen is that most of the time when I weigh it, I get a lower number. So I was overstating what I was doing. I mean, it's just, but I was doing it on purpose. I knew I should have been weighing it, but I didn't weigh it. Same thing when when you put in a teaspoon or tablespoon. Oh, don't tell me I can get a tablespoon of peanut butter. I will scoop up half the jar and balance it on that one tablespoon. Yeah, and I'll just keep turning and just building up to the pile. And I'll say, hey, I had one tablespoon. I've done that. I mean, who am I fooling but myself? I know that I'm not going to lose weight. I know that I'm not being accurate by scooping up, 5 200-calorie servings of peanut butter and saying, oh, I had one serving of it.
I've taken the 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, scooped up 1 tablespoon, and then like the knife that I'm using, I'll stick the knife back into the peanut butter and eat some, but I still have the tablespoon right here, so I'm good.
Yeah, the extras don't count, No. There are no calories in that. Not at all.
Let me tell you, with peanut butter, that's a good one for me because, when I started weighing, I will, say I'm getting a sandwich, I will spoon out the peanut butter and then put it on the bread and then weigh how much went on the bread. But half of it's still stuck on the spoon, so once I get 1 full serving on the bread, I probably have another full serving on the spoon, and I eat that, and I don't even count it. So to combat that, now I weigh the peanut butter jar itself, and I spoon out 1 serving and measure, see the weight of the jar going down by 1 serving. So that way,
that's clever.
Yeah, everything on the spoon is 1 serving. And for whether I want to eat it right there or put it on the bread, that's up to me. But I only took 1 spoon out the jar, 1 serving.
I bet you Khalid didn't let any of that serving go to waste. Like, I bet you he licked that spoon clean because he wanted every bit that he can get.
I do. You have to hold the spoon in your mouth for a few seconds and let the peanut butter knock it off with your tongue. See, I get it all.
That's one thing I can say about him weighing food. He gets in every gram that he earned. Like, he will not let. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about Khalif now. So, like, let's say he's measuring grapes or something, and one falls. He has to replace it, or you know what I mean. Like, he makes sure he gets every gram in that calorie amount that he's weighing.
Because I'm charging myself for it. I look at it like money. Like, if I'm walking and I have $1 fall, that's, I have $1 less in my budget, but my bank account is still showing that I spent that $1. So I have to get it somehow. Same thing with the food. If it falls, I'll go on MyFitnessPal and subtract 2 grams.
You subtract stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll take some of Sherry Ann's.
Yeah, like, my weighing my food doesn't matter, so he just takes stuff from me.
Hey, you're not tracking as much as me, right?
That's a shame.
That'll teach you.
Such a shame. But when I say I'm tracking, you still don't care.
Pete, Sleeve Rocker, he says, I'm currently trying to justify a Hershey's almond chocolate bar that I received for free last week.
He posted that. I saw it.
He said it taunts him from the cupboard.
And Susan does the same thing with those Snickers bars. I don't know how you guys do it. I can't have that stuff in my house. I cannot. As much as I'd like to think I can, I can't.
I think when she did, and the funny thing is she did that, she stole it from her husband. So I don't know if just taunting him was good enough for her to have it or not. I know she's gonna kill me, but it's true.
I don't know, Pete. Pete has a lot of self-discipline. So yeah. I think I have no doubt that you'll save it for when it's really like a great moment to eat it. Like me, I would just eat it standing up, like in a pool of my own tears. Like I wouldn't enjoy it anyway. It'd be like 1 bite.
Yeah.
So I can't have that stuff in the house.
Knowing Pete, he'll like be running late for the gym. And he'll eat it as a pre-workout just to give him energy. He's really disciplined when it comes to his eating and stuff. Really,
I really admire it. I really do.
And Susan said that weekends are the worst because you think you did so well all week, you deserve something on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
something, I find that all the time, that I was doing that. And I was talking to Susan about even moving her weigh-in day, because weigh-ins a lot of times when you do in public, they motivate you. And when I moved my weigh-in from whatever day it was to Monday, it made a difference in all the stuff I was doing on the weekend, because I would say I know I'm going to pay for it, rather than weighing myself, say, Friday, messing up on the weekend, and then saying, oh, well, I have 4 more days to get my act together and possibly even show up with a 1-pound loss. Again, playing games, because it's really it should be about my health, not about showing up with a favorable weigh-in when I do a video. It should be about my health, but sometimes those extra motivators help.
I know I've talked about this before, I'm sure in past videos or something, but when I did Weight Watchers, like, it was, I don't know, I did it like it was just for fun. I think I might have joined and quit Weight Watchers, I'm not kidding, probably 15 times. And Rob would talk about this too. We both did the same thing. I thought I was alone, but I wasn't. I'd go to my meeting on whatever day, I'd weigh, okay, I get weighed, I lose a tiny bit, I gained a tiny, I would always pretty much be the same. And then when I'd leave, I'd sit for the meeting, and I acted like I cared. Really what I was thinking about was getting in my car when I left, and I'd go to Del Taco, which was just, I'd make sure no one was following me, too, from the meeting. I'm like looking behind me, like, is anyone, we're going to turn around here so no one sees me. I'd go to Del Taco, and I'd order just an absolutely insane amount of food. Like, I mean, enough food for 4 people. And I would eat it, and it'd sit in my car, and it was awful. And then I'd get home, and I'd be like, well, meeting's over, on to next week. And I would do that every single week. And then I would pay for it, too. Like, I paid for this privilege. It was so weird. And then I would quit, and then I would join again and do the same thing.
You're definitely not the only one, because people at my job do the same thing. They do it together. No one stands up and says, hey, why are we doing this? It's crazy. They're like, hey, let's go get, some Italian food. Like, they always go out to eat for lunch. They leave the meeting and then go to get some food and really indulge and go crazy, because they have the most time between weigh-ins to get their act together. And yeah, and they all pay for it too. They,
it doesn't. You don't lose weight. Like, oh, but I had it's all sodium. It's just totally bloat. It's bloat. It's all the sodium in the Del Taco. Oh, yeah, I need a week to work out the sodium, and then, I'll lose weight.
Curse that sodium.
Oh, I know, the water weight. Oh, all the time. For months.
Oh, my gosh. That's the one thing I think that I could say that I hear people say and I cringe. Not so much when, women say, hey, it's on time of the month. That's different. But just eating something and saying, oh, it was the sodium. It's definitely, I ate something that had sodium. And because every week it can't be sodium, and I mean, it's outside of the scope of this video, but, even having high sodium doesn't even work that way. It's more about fluctuations than eating high. So if you eat high sodium often, then your body, gets used to that, and keeps it at a new level. I mean, it's just the excuse. I mean, and it may be true, but it's not the sodium. It's the fact that you went and did something that was going to negatively impact you, and that should be the real criminal, if there is one, not the sodium in the food. It should be your choices, and you chose to eat something with a whole bunch of sodium in it, and that's fine if you choose it, but know what the consequences are.
And that, I've said the same. I've done the same thing with the sodium. Any excuse I come up with as to why I've maintained my weight for like pretty much a year and a half. Oh, it's the sodium, but really, I mean, it's a trend. I mean, like you said, it's not gonna. It's maybe once here and there. Oh, I went to Chinese, and okay, even though I ate well, it's still a lot of sodium. But still, the weight, if you're eating properly and exercising properly, if you're in a deficit, you're still gonna lose weight over time. But that sodium is an easy one, boy. Oh, sodium. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to think about, I don't know, like what goes through my head half the time, and sometimes I really don't. Like, sometimes I really feel like I just shut my brain off and say, you know what, I'm going to do what I want for the next half an hour, and then I'll turn my brain on afterwards. You know, like I don't know. Sometimes I don't think I actually come up with an excuse to do things. You know what I mean? Like I
You
don't
just
even,
like go unconscious.
yeah, I'm just like, you know what? Guess what I'm gonna do right now? And I'll come back to
Yeah.
reality after I'm done. Like that's kind of how I think.
Yeah. I do. I tell myself, and I still do, and this will be something that I'm sure I will battle for the rest of my life. But when I get that urge to compulsively overeat, not just have like we're kidding around with like a scoop of peanut butter or but really go and consume like 5,000 to 10,000 calories by myself. I always tell myself, this is the last time, Brooke. This is going to be the last time.
Last time
And
syndrome is a good one. That's very
oh,
true.
yes, it's the last time. So I might as well go out with a bang because this is the last time. It's the
Actually,
last time until the next day.
yeah, I wrote about this on Fat Guy the other day. Like the same thing on the website was just saying that, like we started this elimination diet recently, but we didn't choose the exact day we were going to start. So every time before I thought we were going to start, I had a last good meal. You know what I mean? Like the last time I'm going to have this for a while, but I did it like 5 times. So it's like, does it really count? So yeah,
You have to make sure you cover all your bases.
Pretty much. I'm like, okay, so we may start tomorrow, so this is the last time I'm going to have this. Okay, 2 days from now, okay, so this is the last time. It just kept going. It was really bad.
Yeah.
I definitely suffer from last time syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So many people. I've seen videos of people, and I'm not picking on people who have surgery, but I've noticed this a lot with people who have weight loss surgery. Before they have to go into their final, usually it's a liquid diet or at least a pre-op diet, they'll have a last meal. And I've seen so many last meal videos where sometimes they show this is what I'm having, and it's like more food than a person should consume in a whole day, and they'll just have that as a meal. And it's that whole mentality that we have. Like, this is killing me, but I'm just going to get one step closer to death before I start getting healthy. And, it's the same thing with us with, oh, well, I messed up this week. I might as well start back on Monday. And so the weekend, we just go crazy, and things like, so, but that last meal thing just really stuck in my mind as people who...
The Biggest Loser used to do that. I've watched the show since like the first season, and if you guys remember from the first couple seasons, they used to have a last meal, and they had, this is kind of when it was a little still low budge, they had like this room shrouded with a curtain, and then the curtain would part, and it would be, I'm not kidding you, on like tables and pedestals and display cupcakes and pizza and jelly beans and hot wings and all these different things. And they'd be walking around the room and eating it. Some of them wouldn't eat it. Some of them would. It was really weird. Yeah, they got rid of that. It was really strange.
Oh.
Yeah. Susan said something similar to what Khalif was saying about the weekends. It's like you do well all week, and then on the weekend you feel like you deserve, whatever you eat. And I think that's something too that, to me, is way too common. I think that we always think we deserve some reward, like way before we've reached our goals. You know what I mean? I'm not opposed to like short-term rewards, but just this deserve mentality, I think, is a big excuse that people have a lot of the times as well.
Mm-hmm. We're doing this elimination diet, and I think because the main purpose of it, at least for us, is to see if we have any, especially with Sherry Ann, if there's any food allergies or sensitivities that can be causing, any conditions to be worse. And it's not so much a cleanse where we're just saying we're detoxifying and restarting our body and that stuff. I found myself a couple of times thinking about, once we can have all our foods back, if we find out there's no problem with any of them, what's going to be my first meal? And I've had to like slap myself a few times and say, wait, you have this chance. Like I gained weight before then, but I lost weight in this, and I'm will probably be like 20 pounds lighter or so at the end of this, maybe more. And so I have this chance to treat this as like a kickstart, but instead I'm thinking about going to Moe's or Hula Hands or whatever, instead of using this as to gain momentum. And I already have to, on day 13, talk myself out of sabotaging myself in 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
It's
It's very, I mean, I got out the 21-day fix, and then I had that challenge, and last week I was kind of more on my own. And I was using a meal plan, but it still didn't have that same structure to it, and I definitely veered off, and I could feel myself having those old familiar feelings of feeling really out of control and feeling like, you know, well, I did the 21-day fix and I did so well, so, you know, why not just have a week where I'm just really relaxed and, you know, and then I'll start it again, and then it will be totally, you know, I had to get out of that week, and I had to start doing the fix again, because that reward response is so ingrained in me with food. Like, I don't know how else to function without doing that.
Yeah, that's I think it's a really tough one to try to get over. And because I think it's something that's really just ingrained in us. You know, you're not really, at least with me, and you know, I can say I'm not really looking at it as, oh, well, since I did this well, I can get this. Like, I'm not making those connections while I'm doing it. It's something that's so ingrained in me. It's just which is even more scary. Because it's not as if someone was to come to me and say, walking out of the gym, hey, you just, you know, burn like 1,500 calories by killing yourself with weights and cardio. Hey, why don't you come with me and eat this 2,000 calorie meal right here? It's okay. It'll fit your macros. I would say, no, you're crazy. But when I say that to myself, I'm in the car headed there already.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's, I don't know what that is, so...
It's like two different, I know what you mean when you say it's like such a disconnect. It's like two different people.
Yes.
And that part of me is so persuasive. It's very hard.
You know, when we towards the beginning, we were talking about tracking and not tracking, and I think this is probably a good time to talk about this this study that I looked at, and I actually alluded to it a few months ago on the Renew Show for some reason, and wanted to actually read a paragraph from it now because I thought it was very interesting. And it was a study. It's actually a doctor talking about the study, and the study was done to really track metabolism and to see if ultra low calorie diets really slow down your metabolism to the point where you just stop losing weight, even if you're eating 800, 1,000, 1,200 calories. You know, are you actually eating that amount and you just can't lose weight because your metabolism is shut down, or is there something else? And I'll just read one kind of paragraph here, and he looks at one subject and kind of, you know, because she represents everyone. So he says, let's zoom in on subject 1 because I think her history is so similar to a lot of women in our modern world. In the study, they report that subject 1 had first noted being overweight at age 8, had been on hundreds of diets, history of depression, though currently stable and off treatment, normal thyroid function, highest adult weight was 246 pounds, she's currently 195 pounds. After being trained to take a food diary, and they knew that they were going to measure her real intake that she recorded. She recorded in taking 1,100 calories per day. So during this time, she was measuring what she was taking in and recording it. She had a nutritionist come and actually work with her and say, this is how you keep a food diary and record everything that you're eating. She said she was eating 1,100 calories a day. They actually chemically measured her daily to see how many calories she took in and how many she was burning. Her daily expenditure, her daily energy expenditure is 3,000 because she's very active, 3,000 calories a day. He said this active, normal metabolism woman thinks she's eating 1,100 calories a day. They measured her to burn 3,000 a day. So that means she's burning 2,000 excess calories a day. She's in a 2,000 calorie deficit. She should be losing, you know, almost a pound a day. She should be losing, or over a half a pound a day. When they measured how many calories she was really eating, it was 3,300 calories.
Wow.
She recorded eating 1,100. They measured her taking in 3,300, which is more than what she burns with all her working out and everything. and he also noted that this is a study where she knew she was going to have her real intake measured chemically, and there's no way you can lie or cheat. So she knew they were going to know what she ate, so it doesn't seem like she had the motive of being deceptive. It would make no sense for her to try to lie or be deceitful. It seems
She's
like
probably eating even a little bit better than she normally would because she knew.
Right.
Exactly. And this, and he notes that, it wasn't just her. There were many others in the study. They measured 10 people this strictly. 9 out of the 10 underestimated their calories. And some of them did it by 40 or 50%. And this one, she was, more extreme than that. So, I mean, it just shows that there can be some type of and there's been other tests done where they study, to see the psychological things that happen when we're in a caloric deficit for so long that we're trying to be healthy, we're trying to mark everything, and for some reason, we're just not being accurate, whether we're heavy-handed with putting things on when we're measuring, whether we're trying to eyeball things instead of being very accurate, whether, like I said, we measure something and we eat things that didn't get measured that we're not even thinking, or you're preparing a meal and you're grabbing something and all those things seem trivial, but you're doing it enough, and 2,000 calories more than what you thought you ate, because a lot of times we do it with high-fat things because they're so easy to eat, like nuts and oils. It's very easy to say I'm putting in oil, and you just say, oh, I put in, a tablespoon, and you really put in 6 tablespoons, because you didn't measure precisely.
Right.
So I don't know, it was just something I just wanted to throw out there, because I was just so fascinated that someone who was trying her best to be honest could be off by more than 2,000 calories in what she was really taking in.
Right.
So I don't know.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's totally amazing, but I think it's really accurate. Like I said, I know, today's a perfect example, so, I haven't been tracking as I should. So, I'm like, okay, I had, we're eating 1 meal a day, and I know how much I'm having in that meal, so I'm like, yeah, I'm not going over, and then have some nuts here and some fruit there, and so today I tracked, and by dinner time, I pretty much had my daily intake of calories, because I had some nuts, for whatever, but if it was just me doing it, I wouldn't have thought I had that many calories already. I just think it's so easy to misjudge based on whatever is in our minds, so I totally believe that's possible, that you underestimate, what you're putting in your body.
Yeah, I think so, and I think, part of it is really that kind of stress of just being, in that caloric deficit for so long. It's like, you're under that pressure and that tension and that stress for such a long period. And of course, being in extreme caloric deficits can, play with your hormone production as well. Especially when we're trying to avoid fats, and that really can impact the way that we think and the things that we do. And it's so that doesn't give us an excuse for the excuses, but it just shows that we're not just fighting with the silly excuses that we make, but there are sometimes other things that we don't control as well.
I'm not surprised. I know, like I've said, the last long time on YouTube, I've been pretty much the same weight, give or take 10, 15 pounds, and just I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not wondering why I hadn't lost weight. I know exactly what I was doing, but it's so easy. It's so easy to go over how many calories you spend, even if you're extremely active. It is so easy to do.
Yeah, it's so easy to take in calories and so hard to burn them.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. Like, you really can eat 1,000 calories in 5 minutes, and it'll take you a couple hours to burn that, depending on what you're doing. This is annoying. Pete says, other mental games. Says, the excuse that really bothers me is I worked out really hard a couple days ago, That's why I gained or maintained this week. So it's a total myth that your body retains that much water for days after a workout. It retains nothing if you actually drink extra water and do cool down exercises after you work out. Plus, if you work out regularly, you shouldn't notice any gain because you're in a steady state. And I think that's a big one that you hear a lot of people say that, and I mean, I think, Brooke, you can probably talk about that even more just with your running, because you probably deplete your glycogen stores every Saturday.
To zero, yeah.
Right.
I do gain weight, but it does take, it's not like if I just have like a 5-mile run, it's when I've completely depleted myself. Like on Saturday I ran 16 miles, and I think I gained, when I weighed myself the next day, like 2 or 3 pounds. After a marathon, I'll gain like 8 pounds, but it goes away. I mean, it doesn't stick around for that long. For the whole day after the marathon, I'm peeing the whole day, and it goes away. So it has to, at least for me, it has to be a pretty extreme, like, kind of situation for that to happen, not like a normal workout.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that we use a lot, and the other one, I have another one, I'll probably just save that one to just remind me of it, because a couple of people, Facet Sith is here.
Oh, hi!
He, as well as Susan, both said that they can, relate to the last meal, because he called it the last meal before your next last meal. And Susan said that, sometimes you use the excuse that you have to eat all of the bad stuff out of the house before you can start being healthy. Pete gave a pretty good, perspective on the last meal. That's videos you see sometimes pre-surgery. So I think the last pre-surgery meal thing is half to satisfy a craving, half to make others mentally or physically sick, to remind ourselves how wrong it is one last time. Mm-hmm. So it could be something similar to when Jenny recorded herself in the middle of a binge. But it's just that mentality, or like you said, Biggest Loser, when they do it. That food just controls us so much that it causes us to do all these crazy mental gymnastics, just to satisfy whatever we have inside of us.
Even with weight loss surgery, though, I mean, I haven't had it, but being here on YouTube, I've certainly met a lot of people that have had it, and it's never the last time. I can't think of a weight loss surgery patient who hasn't had a rough day, or had a bad meal, or gotten sick from eating the wrong things. So I guess it's never, even if you have weight loss surgery, it's never the last time, really.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the reason why they stress so much. It's not the easy way out, because they still have to put in a ton of work, ton of effort, and watch what they eat and track, and they have to do so many things. Just because they have some restriction doesn't make it easy. Yeah, so that's the thing that I love. That's why I think I watch so many people who've had weight loss surgery, and you just see the insight that they bring to this journey.
So guys, we've been talking about food primarily. What kind of mental hurdles do you go through with working out? Because I know a lot of people probably go through that too. You know what I mean? Like when you have to work out, or you're in the middle of a workout and you want to stop, and like, how do you push through? Like, what are some of the mental things that happen, and then how do you push through them?
Wow. It's hard. It's hard for me to. Okay, I guess I'll go before, because I love working out now, and the fact that when I hurt myself, I hate it because I love working out. But, I think probably the biggest thing or I guess the biggest hurdle that I had really was honestly being lazy. I don't think I came up with any good excuses or anything that sounds nice and slick and, you know, a good justification. It was just me being lazy and finally having to say, you know, I mean, I told my story before about, you know, feeling like I was going to die in the middle of the street after one workout, and I didn't want to feel like that anymore, so I had to get in shape. But, you know, Pete earlier said that, you know, I can't find it now, but I'm paraphrasing, saying that pretty much staring death in the face was what motivated him.
Right.
You know, oh, here it is, yeah. The imminent threat of death was an excellent motivator to stop playing the mental games. So, you know, just thinking like that kind of shocked me into it. I don't think I had any good, nice, slick excuses for, you know, avoiding a workout, really. But I do know some. I don't have them, but lifting weights, for instance. I've heard everything about lifting weights. It's going to mess up your joints. Lifting heavy, you're going to hurt yourself. You'll get big and bulky, and if you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to lift weights because then you're going to build muscle on top of your fat. What? So that's probably the one I've heard the most. That you'll bulk up and you'll build muscle on top of your fat, as if you're not burning through your fat as energy to help do the workout. But, you know, anyway, that's probably one. Sorry. Okay, go ahead, bro.
I really like exercise. I like running. I like lifting weights. It hasn't been something in this journey of here on YouTube that I've struggled with too much. Before I started, I mean, like back when I was heavier and I was trying to exercise and stuff, I really did hate it. I just didn't like being out of breath. I didn't like feeling like I was sweating. I didn't feel like I was out of control. I always just felt like very uneasy with that sort of like, you know, aerobic feeling.
Right.
And I think this time around, I just surrendered to that's how it feels. I just got comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right.
And when I'm running and I'm having a bad run, I always want to quit. I always want to quit. I always want to quit on a bad run. But there's just this thing inside of me that just, I can't. I just have to go. It's like I have to do it. If I don't finish it, then like my head will explode. I have to do it. And so I've just had to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, be comfortable with sometimes being in pain, because sometimes exercising hurts, and that's okay. Not bad, horrible, like, oh, I mean, I should take my own advice on that, because I exercised when I shouldn't for a long time, but that it's okay to feel pain sometimes. It's okay to feel sore. It's okay to be out of breath. It's okay to feel that out of control feeling that exercise makes you feel.
Right.
And I think once you get comfortable with that, then you'll go far. But it takes a while.
Yeah, I know like some of the things I was thinking of was, first of all, pain, you know, like you talked about. You know, sometimes it is a pain you can work through, but it's easy to say, you know what, my toe feels kind of tense right now. I need to give up.
Rest day.
Right.
Nice.
Or like you said, when you're out of breath and your lungs are like on fire and you're like, I can't go one more step, you know, those kinds of things. I know some people, for example, if they join a gym and they just feel uncomfortable being in the gym. You know, they feel embarrassed because they're overweight or seeing other people, so they really have just walked out. You know, like, I can't do this. I'm not, you know, I feel so insecure. I'm just going to walk out, you know. I don't know, just different things like that, you know. And I'm glad you said that as a runner, because I know a lot of times they talk about runners like mental things they have to break through to keep going. So that's totally awesome. Maybe one day I'll get there.
It's not, I know, like, you talk about runners high, and runners say how much they love running, and that's very true, but part of loving running is loving that struggle. Because there's some runs where you really can go, and it's just great, and everything's hunky-dory and wonderful, and they're just easy and wonderful and great. But there's also a lot of runs that are, you get to that point that's tough, and that's hard, but that's part of the joy of it, is your mind says no, but your body says yes, and it's a very meditative, empowering feeling. It takes a long time, though, to get comfortable with that. Like, you're not going to die. Like, it's gonna be okay. It's hard.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think injury, like, so I think the myths play a big part, and so do, like, like running. A lot of people say, oh, I have bad knees, or I'm going to hurt my knees. So automatically they say, I'm not going to run. And it's like, okay, no one's telling you that you have to sprint. No one's telling you you have to run backwards like you're a cornerback in the NFL. I mean, we're just saying go out there and move. If you feel pain and you know what type of pain that is, then you know to stop. But to not go out and say, I don't want to do this, or I have bad knees, or I can't lift because I have a bad this, or and a lot of times we just make these excuses, or said we fall for the myths, and like we want to. We don't want to do any research and say, oh, I have this problem. Is there anything that I can do while I heal this up? I actually got into running because I had impingement syndrome in both of my shoulders, and I couldn't do any body weight exercises. I couldn't do push-ups. There was nothing I could do because you need your arm for everything. So I couldn't work any part of my body, so I just started running. And that was the reason why I started running, because I used to run like a quarter mile, half mile to warm up my body. And then I started running more because that was the only activity I could do. But before that, you couldn't get me running. I just tell you, I'm too fat to run. I'm going to hurt my knees. There's no way a fat person should be running. I still don't like running, but, even today, guys, Sherry, I came in and said, oh, man, then the weather's nice, but I don't have time to go for a run. And I was disappointed that I couldn't go out and run. So, but I remember those excuses that I would make. I remember, and I look at myself and say, I was so pitiful. Just, because I wanted to believe all of the nonsense. I really tried hard to believe that it was going to be so difficult, and I just couldn't do it. But I didn't mind eating a whole bunch of food and stretching my stomach out probably and doing some things I shouldn't do, and having 20,000 calories some days. I didn't mind going to that extreme, but ask me to run more than 20 feet, and then I would tell you, no, that's crazy. That's too extreme.
Mm. I did the same. I mean, Khalif knows this. For the longest time with using weights, I was convinced and made the I don't know if it was an excuse or like I already felt like I was working out a lot and I didn't want to do anything more. I'm swimming, I'm running, like what else do I have to do? But I was convinced that I don't need to do any sort of weight training because I run and my legs are strong and everything's fine and I'm super fit. I don't know why I made that. I don't know. Like I said, was an excuse? I don't know. But I think sometimes we tell ourselves that because we do one activity, that therefore we're perfectly fit and we don't need to look at our fitness from different angles. Like, oh, well, I do Zumba, so I'm good. Well, Zumba is great, but there's so many other parts of being fit and healthy that are beyond Zumba or running or swimming or weight training or walking or whatever. But I don't know. It's really easy to lock yourself up into one activity, and don't do it. For the record, don't do it. Don't do it.
A few people did talk about when we ended on the food. Lori Has Hope came in. And she says she's done the last meal thing a few times, and she said that for some reason I felt I was due one last good meal. I have found out healthy food is actually very good food. And I think that's something too. I think that's something that can cross the board, even talking about exercise, that, we find that these things that we hated, usually we hate them and don't know anything about them.
Right.
Once we get into them, we enjoy them. I mean, there's so many people I see, or even on YouTube or in my own life, who are active, but a few years ago they weren't, and they hated the thought of it. Or some people who can't have certain foods around them, like avocados or nuts, things that are considered healthy. They can't have them around them because they feel like I'm going to go overboard on those things. It's not the Snickers and the Doritos that they're craving. It's those other foods now that they probably didn't even like a few years ago. And I think we have to at least, be willing to shift, because this is life or death. We're talking about our quality of life here. It's not just, a simple matter. Susan, talked about it being an addiction, and I do think, for many of us who are in this community and doing something as, I don't want to use the word extreme, but maybe doing something that's different, as making videos about it, or blogging about our health. A lot of us probably do have an addiction, or at least this very strong pull in that direction. So any other excuses that either of you have used, or things, that mindsets that you saw that you had and you have to correct them, or you're still trying to correct now?
I think one thing for me in general is just the fear of failure makes me not even want to start something. You know what I mean? So like if I start something and I fail or have a setback, then I'm like, why am I even bothering? Like, let's just give up. So I've done that sometimes in the past.
Yeah,
For me, it's just always. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For me, it's just that voice that tells me just one more time, and I just have such a ritual with the way I overeat. I don't usually do it in my day-to-day life. I don't do it every day. It's a very specific, calculated, well thought out act, and I situate it around my running so it won't affect my running. That's how calculated it is. And I'll tell myself just one more time, and I hear that voice every day of my life, and that's the hardest thing for me. And sometimes I just let it be an excuse, and I buy into it, and I say, okay, I believe it, just one last time, this will be my excuse this time. And then it never gets easier. It gets worse, actually, after I do that. Then the next week is like a really difficult struggle to get myself from not doing it again and again and again. So, Yeah.
Yeah, I find that with me, doing it one time, like, I'm not the type that has a small craving and can satisfy that craving. Like, I've talked about those stupid sprays that my mother got when I was a kid from Home Shopping Network, or QVC, one of them, where you actually had, like, pina colada or chocolate spray that you can, like Banaka, that you could just spray on your tongue, and you have the sensation of chocolate on your tongue, and that takes away the craving. I mean, that stuff doesn't work for me. If I crave chocolate, I can buy 10 candy bars, 10 chocolate bars, and eat them. Or I can have a block of fudge and eat it in one night. That's me craving chocolate. And then the next day, I'm upset that I ate it all the night before because I want some now, but I ate it all, so there's no more left. There's no, like, satisfying this craving for me. So I don't know what, some people have that, and that's great, but me, I don't, when it comes to certain things, I don't have that little craving that just gets satisfied. So sometimes I do try to make excuses on why this week will be a week, or a few days, I'll do it, and I'll even envision in my head burning off the calories. Like, I could actually go and be in the store picking up candy bars, and I'm picturing myself doing sprint intervals in my parking lot, back and forth. Like, oh, this is 200 calories for this, this Butterfingers here, so I'm just gonna. I know I can go up and down the parking lot for like 20 minutes, and and I'm already picturing I can have this because I'm gonna burn all this off because I'm gonna be sprinting like crazy this, And while I'm doing it, it's just, oh, you guys don't want to see inside my head. I'm telling you.
So you think the exercise you haven't done yet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. I'm eating for it, like I'm fueling up or something.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. That's hard. We all make excuses.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's why. We say, like, be active, do something as far as activity, just do something. And, I think I have two views on do something that you love or not. Maybe I'll make a whole video about that. But I think in the beginning, like, we just need to be active. Like, if it means enough to you, you'll do something that you hate until you find something you love. You know, that's kind of how I feel about it. You know, if you find something you love, great, and that's wonderful. Some people will never love any physical activity, and they only do it to stay fit. They don't do it because they're enjoying themselves, you know, and that's okay too, as you know, because you do have a goal. You enjoy your good quality of life, so you are doing it for enjoyment, but you just don't enjoy the activity. You enjoy the results. But you know, I think just do something, and try to break out of the routine and break out of those habits. And then with the eating, I do think people like me, especially, who can struggle with easily coming up with excuses and justifying things. That's why something like tracking is so important, because it makes you be precise. Or even, Brooke, when you're doing a 21-day fix, I mean, you can't fit 4 slices of pizza into one of those containers and justify, you know, doing that. You know, but you
take the bacon, shove it in the red container.
Yeah. So,
it fits.
you know, if you have something that really puts strict limits on you, I think a lot of times those strict limits work to at least shift your thinking.
Yeah.
You know, some people say it triggers them to want to binge. For me, it doesn't. Like, I don't think I'll say, I haven't had cheese in a month and a half, and just go crazy and eat 2 blocks of cheddar. Like, it's not going to happen. It will more likely happen if I have a block of, you know, cheddar over a week, and then I want it every single day after that. So I think sometimes we have to be very extreme just to snap out of those silly, you know, games that we play with each other. Because when we give ourselves enough rope, you end up hanging ourselves a lot of times. When we give ourselves a lot of leeway, that's when those bad habits creep in and we start justifying them. So I think, for me, that's one of the ways that I've overcome it and I've snapped out of it, was being very strict and regimented on things. When I was able to go to the gym consistently, I was waking up at 4 o'clock every morning and going. I was falling asleep sometimes 1 o'clock and still just waking up at 4 and going to the gym and having a horrible day that day because I was tired. But the gym was the most important thing, so I forced myself to wake up. You know, just to be that extreme, to break myself out of justifying bad decisions.
I know that really helps a lot of people sometimes is having a set of non-negotiables, you know, like, okay, I have to wake up and work out. That's just not negotiable. Like, it just has to happen. Like, I know a few people who do that with goals in general, like whatever goals they have, not just weight loss. But I know that actually works really well for me too, and probably something I should get back to. You know, like, these are the 3 things that are at the forefront of my mind. I'm not doing anything else until they get done, you know, period. So I really think that works for a lot of people. I know it works for me, so I can see that being, you know, a great thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Fast as Sith talked about trying to motivate himself to do cardio after doing strength training. You know, because I know he loves strength training, so that's easy for him to get into, doing the weights. But trying to do the cardio after, you know, is one. Pete, Sleeve Rocker, he said the biggest workout hurdle is just getting yourself to the gym. So if you keep your gym bag prepped in the car or by the door with clothes and post-workout food, that's a big help. And JMac VSG, he said, I'm with Brooke. For me, I almost fall into depression when I don't lift weights. I'm all about it these days. So to not put that time in, for me, is like I'm doing something wrong and brings me back to mental pain.
Mm.
And then, of course, Susan asked a question I think we're all wondering, why is 30 minutes on a treadmill so much longer than 30 minutes on the couch?
There is something with that.
Yeah, I think so. I think it definitely is. Yeah, I'm just looking to see if anybody else left questions, because it's kind of slowing down a little bit on YouTube for some reason.
I'm sorry, guys. I see that a lot of you are having problems with the feed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wish we knew what was going on. I told you, Google doesn't like us. That's what it is. Google wants us to stay fat. So
it's a conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
Pete, Sleeve Rocker, he gave this recommendation, and I can echo it. Biggest recommendation I can give people is to weigh everything. Measuring cups, spoons, or scoops that come with many products, They are just not accurate enough.
Yep.
And something else he said that Google cut off. But yeah, I agree with that. A lot of times it's harder to measure volume because especially when you're talking about a dry good. If you say, "Oh, I'm going to have a cup of rice," and you scoop it out with a cup, you're not going to get the same amount each time. And while that little thing may not matter for one meal, it can matter for meals and meals and weeks. And I also think that being that accurate really promotes you and gets you in momentum to be that accurate later on, to actually say, "I'm going to weigh this and wait." I mean, I've seen some. If anybody watches Bodybuilding Bros, you know what I'm talking about. They're the ones who gave me the idea about weighing the jar and taking out of the jar. These guys, I've seen them weigh things and okay, they went to Chipotle, and I have to tell this because these guys are in phenomenal shape. Actually, Frank, he just won a.
What are they called? I'm sorry, Bodybuilding Bros.
Bodybuilding Bros.
Okay.
They're from New Jersey. Harry and Frank. They power lifters and bodybuilders, and the way they measure their food is amazing. I think it was Harry, the older brother. He actually went to Chipotle and ordered something, and I think it was a salad. He got every item separately wrapped, took it home, and weighed each thing separately and constructed it back himself. And he saw that the website numbers were so far off what the people gave, because everybody scoops differently. They put a scoop of rice, a scoop of beans, a scoop of the meat. They're not weighing it and putting the same thing in. And I think that should really tell us that we're not going to be 100% accurate, but whenever we can control, we should be. And it doesn't take that long, especially when we get into a kind of a rhythm with doing it. It really doesn't take that long. But I think those types of things will help us break through the other barriers that we have up. We need every opportunity we can to succeed.
I think, too, just when you're in that frame of mind of weighing and measuring all your food and being really precise in whatever way feels precise to you, it doesn't just improve your weight, your exercise, your life improves. You're more efficient in other areas of your life as well. I think a lot of times our eating reflects kind of the chaos of our life. At least it does for me. And I know that when I'm in a binging cycle, my life isn't as it should be either. So I think it just all kind of make less excuses with your health, and you make less excuses with everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. I think it is that frame of mind with everything, and just trying to be excellent. Like, that's a word I love. Just really trying to be excellent. We have this one life, we have this one chance, and we don't want to let years go by because we keep making these silly excuses that we know aren't even true. But we convince ourselves of them because we want something so much that it's probably detrimental to us. And rather than taking control, we have this one life, and we've already spent a lot of it, most of us watching and on here, we spent a lot of it being unhealthy, in certain ways, and really trying to be excellent and really trying to just take control of our lives now. I think we have to do it,
Yeah. I think the one thing I, just in us talking, gather from all this is just the idea that we all do have areas in our life where we don't give in to, the mental hurdles that we may go through. Like, we're able to overcome them. And it's just a matter of applying whatever that is inside us to every other area, where we may struggle more, and just trying to find a way to do that, to keep those things in mind that get us through the areas that we are successful in that way.
Yeah. We're actually running out of time. We're out of time. And Susan just said, this show has showed me what an excuse maker I am.
We all are.
Yes.
I think we all are. Like Sherry-Ann said, it may not be in the same area. We may not make the same exact excuse as each other, but we all see that we do it, but we all see that we have strengths, and we need to look at where our strengths are and apply them everywhere. So, any last words?
You can do it. That's all I want to say. We can all do it. We really can.
Okay. Anything, Brooke?
We can do it. I agree. That's great.
Should I just echo that? Yeah, I guess I should, rather than try to come up with something else. But it is true, guys. We can. So just do it. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, staying with us, all your comments, your questions, the things you threw out there, your suggestions. Sorry about Google being slow and the feed, messing up a part of it. You always can watch it again later, and hopefully it won't be broadcasting live, so there shouldn't be any mistakes. Next week, we're going to have Tony changing before your eyes on, and I don't know yet if Slick, her husband, is going to be on or not. If he's there, we'll try to get him to sit in front of the camera for a little while. But yeah, she'll be on, and if you don't know her, there's actually a link to her channel on the Renew Show website. Check the description box, and you'll see a link to that and a few other things, the schedule that we have coming up. And in 2 weeks, we're going to have another guest on who I don't know if anybody knows because I haven't announced it yet, but I'm doing it now so she doesn't run away. It's Susan, Taming the Food Beast West. Yes, we got